Hello, we are coming to you, Daniel Montgomery and Charles Bright from Gold Derby, to talk about the 2016 MTV Video Music Awards, which aired as we are talking about this last night. And MTV's website probably updated their own website with the winners maybe 20 minutes ago or something. It was a late night trying to figure out who won best electronic video. So it's it's a little. I'm weird that way. That's our job. We stay up late at night to tell you who won best electronic video. It was Calvin Harris, by the way. So let's start with I guess the big story of the night is one of the only stories of the night because she won just about everything. It was Beyonce, who won Video of the Year and all of the other things. She won 8 awards total, and sweeps are rare at the VMAs. Sweeps this big it hasn't happened since, I think Lady Gaga won 8, The Year of Bad Romance. But this is fairly unusual for the VMAs to do. And not only did she win multiple, she had 11 nominations, and she only lost. She lost once to herself. And then she lost twice more. She lost Best Collaboration to Fifth Harmony, of all people. Who would have seen that coming? And she lost, what was her last? She lost Best Art Direction to David Bowie, which we can get to soon because I called that one. It's one of the few races that was being predicted to go to someone else that I called correctly from watching the nominated material. So it's almost like the Emmys if the tape still mattered.
Go on, just lap it all up.
But let's talk about Beyonce and her massive sweep. Were you surprised that she won as many as she did?
I was kind of surprised. I was expecting there to be a little breakaway, like maybe she would win 4 or 5. I was not expecting the technical sweep was what caught me off guard. And when they were, because it was weird, they said, okay, best art direction, David Bowie, best visual effects, Coldplay. And then they said best choreography, best editing, best cinematography, best direction. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I realized it was all for formation. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how they're doing this. And that really caught me. I was really surprised by that they went so uniformly for that one video.
Yeah, and we were predicting formation to go to win in choreography, and where she actually beat herself. Her video for Sorry was also nominated, and for best editing. But we didn't predict her for best direction. We thought that would be Adele and Xavier Dolan, we talked a lot about, and we thought
he's got to be pissed.
Doubly, because he was also either the cinematographer or the editor or both.
The editor. He was the editor also.
Being doubly pissed. So yeah, but I think cinematography was the moment, because I knew direction was a possibility, but cinematography, when it won cinematography, I'm just like, it is game over Beyonce. She's just running away with everything. She's
running the gambit.
And I wonder if they told her or what she knew in advance, because she put together a 15-minute Lemonade medley in the middle of this show that is ultimately her coronation. So someone had to tip her off.
Remember, most award shows, you notice, they at the end they have that thing that says that they have that little bumper at the end that explains the voting process and how it works. And most of them will say sealed envelopes, winners are not known until they're actually opened. A's don't have that. So my guess is that it's not out of the realm for them to be tipped off that, that they're going to be winning. And my guess is that Adele didn't hear anything. And so she probably said, I'll just probably just stay home and get trashed.
Well, yeah, I can imagine they might, if I'm Adele and I have 8 nominations, from MTV's point of view, I'm thinking, okay, let's call Adele, tell her she maybe doesn't need to come, because she'll come or she'll perform or something and then she'll be embarrassed. It was a little embarrassing. She was the second most nominated artist of the night, on a night that Fifth Harmony won twice. Adele is the second most nominated artist, including Video of the Year, Female Video, Pop Video, and she, like Beyonce, made a run of nominations in those professional categories: direction, cinematography, editing, art direction. Nothing. She got nothing. And it seems really surprising to me and a little unfortunate. I really don't think she deserved to be shut out. I don't begrudge Beyonce her wins, but, you know, I mean, cinematography at the very least, give that to Adele. Or I don't know, stuff some ballots, give her pop video. Like, pop video wasn't announced during the night, so I thought, okay.
And we didn't find out until later in the morning.
I literally didn't find out until this morning.
I was going to message you last night, actually. I was going to message you on Facebook, but then I saw you weren't online. I'm like, he's probably taking a well-deserved just sleeping right now, so I'm not going to even bother him with this shit. But yeah, I found out because I had to go onto the Billboard website. And that's how I found out those 3 missing categories.
Yeah, those 3 missing categories were rock video, pop video, and electronic video. But you know, when we didn't learn pop video, I thought, okay, Adele wasn't there, she couldn't make it, or she didn't show up or something, but maybe she won pop video as sort of a consolation prize. The award we thought was going to go to Bieber as kind of a consolation prize. I thought maybe, okay, after Beyonce wins everything, MTV will stuff some ballots into the box and say, okay, Adele, you're nominated 8 times, have one. Not even that, Beyonce took that too. So I really do feel bad about, you know, I mean, Beyonce, as big a music superstar she is, I mean, I just checked Billboard, and as of the most recent chart, you know, even though it's been out for twice as long, 25 is higher in the chart than Lemonade is right now. So she's not hurting, but you know, it just felt bad. Like, why did the MTV decide to shaft her completely? I really thought, you know, throw her 1 or 2 categories, just like professional categories, like they did with Rolling in the Deep, which won 3 times in professional categories. But nope.
Nope, she's not worth it, according to MTV. She is inferior and should know her place.
I think it's mostly because of how she skews, because what MTV does, I mean, the VMAs are basically, and I wrote about this a little bit on Facebook when I posted a status about it, you know, the VMAs are basically what a bunch of, you know, middle-aged music executives and TV executives, what they think youth culture is or should be. And so they brought in all, like, the cool young, you know, lesser known to older viewers and listeners, but all the cool young artists and all that, and sort of Adele is kind of, you know, they probably consider that grandpa's music, or it's maybe the music that the execs listen to. So they're like, oh, the kids probably don't like this because you know we love Adele.
Yeah, Adele. Yeah, Adele is like she's very adult contemporary. And yes, it's adult contemporary that the kids like as well, but not on the same level as they do Beyonce and people like Justin Bieber and Kanye West.
Yeah, so let's talk about a couple more of these award categories. Go into male and female video. Start with male video, which is ironic for 2 reasons. It went to Calvin Harris and Rihanna for "This Is What You Came For." It's ironic for 2 reasons. The first reason is that Calvin Harris is barely in his own male video.
Is he even in it? I didn't see him in it.
I'm working off of memory. I think he might be there in like flashes or something like that, just brief little snippets to show like this is technically my song. But it's really 99% Rihanna, who is technically female. So when I found that out and then I looked it up, it's actually funny. Rihanna has been nominated 6 times for Best Male Video and won it twice.
I did see that. That's more than she's been nominated for female video.
Which is 5 times. She's got nominated 5 times for female video, although one of those was the year that they just nominated the artist. They didn't nominate a specific video. So technically only 3 times for female video. I don't think she's won as a woman, but she has won twice as a man. So I think all the more impressive that like she you know, she won the Video Vanguard Award. She proved it. She is not.
Damn, girl is breaking all sorts of barriers now.
She is not constrained by your rigid gender formulations, MTV. And then video, of course, went to Beyonce, which was one of her treasure trove, but not for Formation. She was nominated in that category for Hold Up, which is
That's
why
the one win that wasn't for Formation.
yeah, and it was surprising, just in the sense that since they nominated a different video there, I didn't know if it was going to be as popular, this particular video, as Formation was. So I thought maybe this is the way for Rihanna to get in there, or for Ariana Grande. I was predicting, I went out on a limb there, or even Adele. Her song "Hello" is a bigger hit than Beyonce's "Hold Up." So maybe this is going to be the way of making sure Adele gets something. But no, it went to Hold Up.
No, and that's happened a couple times where a certain artist has a video nominated several times, but in like the male or female category, they'll have something else nominated, and quite often they'll win. It happened to Will Smith twice in a row. In 1998, Getting Jiggy With It was nominated for a bunch of VMAs, including Video of the Year, and Best Male Video was Just the Two of Us. And he won for that. And then the very next year, while he was also up in Video of the Year for Wild Wild West, male video, he was up for Miami and won for that.
So speaking of hip-hop artists, kinder and gentler hip-hop artists, then there was Drake, who won Best Hip-Hop Video. I don't think that came as a surprise to either of us. Although in our predictions, Drake we were expecting him to win 3 times, not just the once. We were predicting him at Gold Derby to win Best Male Video and Best Collaboration with Rihanna for Work. But he didn't go home empty-handed. More ways than one. He went home with Rihanna. So he wasn't even there to accept his own award, but he was there to present her.
Stuck in traffic. That is the new, whether or not he was doing anything as suggestive, that is the new hiking the Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, I wish it were even as fun as that. It's probably more that they were just, you know what, we've got him coming out to present Rihanna's award. We want that to be a special moment.
He doesn't have to be there until later.
or maybe he was there, but let's hold him back. Let's not, push him center stage on that one. Which actually, if I'm a producer of the show, it's actually a good call, because then he comes out at the end to give that speech about Rihanna and to pay tribute to her. If he had already been on stage accepting his own award, it might not have had the same kind of, oh, he's here and he's doing the thing. So I could understand from a production standpoint why, if he wasn't really stuck in traffic, they might have done it that way. But then you've got Best Collaboration, which went to Fifth Harmony featuring Ty Dolla $ign, which for a Work From Home, which surprised me, and then it didn't, because earlier in the evening in the pre-show they'd won Song of the Summer against like Justin Timberlake and these other Sia and I think Ariana Grande in there too. There's a lot of nominees for Song of the Summer.
Yeah, and I think the Chainsmokers are in there too.
The Chainsmokers have the list now. Nick Jonas, Selena Gomez. So like all these superstars with these huge fan bases, and Fifth Harmony won. And I remember they were surprised when they won Artist to Watch a few years ago. I can't remember who they were up against in that category specifically, but that was not one that many people seemed to be expecting. So, when their name was read, I was like, I should have seen that coming, because they didn't have many nominations. I think it was just this and Song of the Summer maybe. And so if their fans were going to vote for them somewhere, they only had a couple of places they could do it. So they were all going to come out in force in those categories. And so they beat Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar for Freedom. And they beat Calvin Harris and Rihanna, and they beat Drake and Rihanna. And they beat Ariana Grande, who's won a couple of VMAs herself, or 1 or 2 VMAs. So, I mean, all popular people, but Fifth Harmony takes it. Were you surprised, or did you feel like you should have seen it coming?
I was genuinely surprised. I thought it was, I thought it was either going to be Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar, or it was going to be Drake and Rihanna. To me, those are the obvious places to go. Or after Calvin Harris and Rihanna, were they up for that one? For after that one, Best Male Video, I thought that could win it. I thought that could win it as well. I would have, no matter how I would have rearranged up until the moment that envelope was opened, I would have had Fifth Harmony in fourth or fifth.
I don't know where I would have had them ranked. If I ranked them lower than third, I'm going to kick myself, because just from their Artist to Watch win a couple of years ago, I should have known there are fans there that I don't know about, so I should be wary. So, but I probably ranked them fourth or fifth, like you did. And then you've got, of course, the most suspenseful category of the night. No one knew who was going to win Breakthrough Long Form Video.
There's a radio station that is based out of Winchester, which, for people who don't know Virginia, Winchester is still technically Northern Virginia, but it's all the way out by the West Virginia border. There are still people that actually commute from Winchester, D.C. every day, which makes no sense at all. But I heard a bit of them talking on their morning show, and even they had the same thought. It's like, what is the point of this if Beyonce did not win this? So even out into the furthest reaches, this is not lost on anybody.
Yeah, and it was so transparent in a way, because I mean, in a sense, like they should have made it a professional category just so the fans couldn't screw it up, because they nominated Bieber. That was a risk. But yeah, it just, this category has never existed before. In all likelihood, it won't exist again.
I think it existed at some point in the 90s, because there's a feature on the MTV website. I was checking this out during the ceremony, and it actually said, and the pop-up feature on MTV News was, why did they wait 20 years to bring back this category?
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I'm now looking that up now. But however long it was gone, it's not like, I mean, long-form music videos aren't a thing. Like, they're gradually becoming more so, since Beyonce's self-titled album, which was also a visual album, came out. It's sort of come in vogue to do the kind of big, luxurious musical film that she did. Frank Ocean just did one. And so, but yeah, bringing this category back in this particular year, it just feels like the Beyonce Award for Best Beyonce in a Beyonce. It's just, there was no reason to have it other than to give it to her. And if she had lost it, it would have been preposterous. It would have been absolutely absurd.
Beyonce, partial credit.
So that was one of her 8, which also, by the way, makes her the most awarded woman in VMA history, I believe. If not the most awarded person, I can't remember what that record was.
I think she surpassed Madonna. She surpassed Madonna and her tally. I think she's tied with Lady Gaga for most wins by a woman in a single year.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Gabriel still holds the record for 9 in 1 year. I don't think anybody's going to be breaking that record.
I don't think that's going there, especially, once the long-form music video category is, assuming they discontinue it, which you never know, maybe we will have enough more musical films to justify its existence again, because, hey, Frank Ocean could win it next year, or, I don't know, Justin Bieber for Purpose Part 2, who knows? To Purpose Part 2.
The repurposing.
Purposing, yeah.
I'm just still like, no, go on.
No, I was just saying, now I actually want him to do that.
I mean, it's just bizarre to me, and I'm trying to think. So she surpassed Madonna with her number of VMAs, and she also has more Grammys than Aretha Franklin. She has more Grammys than Aretha Franklin. I say just retire. I'm not saying that to demean her.
She's 34.
I'm not saying that to demean her. I'm just saying that's going out with a bang, man.
Well, she's got to win the Album of the Year Grammy first. It's eluded her for years. She, most of us thought that she was going to win it for her self-titled album. Now it just seems Lemonade is too big to fail. She's won 20 Grammys. She's the second most awarded woman in Grammy history, behind Alison Krauss. That she'll pass Alison Krauss. She's 34. She'll pass Alison Krauss in the next 5 to 10 years. I don't doubt it.
Oh yeah.
And she's never won Album of the Year. She's only won once in the general field at all, which was Song of the Year for Single Lady.
And she wasn't even on stage to accept it.
and so it's getting to the point where Beyonce is a 20-time Grammy winner, but she is criminally overdue. Because she, it's the top prize. It's we talk about a lot about how the Grammys have kind of a race problem, and obviously you got Jay-Z and Kanye West and Beyonce. They have like 60 to 70 Grammys between those three of them, but they're relegated in those rap and R&B categories.
They have a genre problem, which happens to also be a race problem.
Yeah, it's sort of like how the poverty problem and the race problem are sort of interconnected. They coexist here as well, especially when you have artists like Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, who are also hip hop artists, actually winning Best New Artist when any number of hip hop artists were never able to, like 50 Cent and Kanye West and Frank Ocean.
Eminem wasn't even nominated. Why am I bringing that up? He's white. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Well, compared to Macklemore, he's Tupac. But yeah, but I think this is going to be one of those years. I really do think Beyonce is going to take it because, I mean, in a similar way that Oscars so white made the Oscars look really bad, I don't know that the Grammys have that same kind of optics problem because they still have a lot of people of color on stage accepting R&B and rap awards. Kendrick Lamar winning 7 or 8 awards in a night.
And Bruno Mars winning Record of the Year.
Exactly. So they don't have the same optics problem. But I think Beyonce's loss for the last album to Beck, specifically that loss to that other artist, really kind of painted kind of an image where if they did that again to Lemonade, which is even bigger, which is by critical acclaim even better, even more of a cultural phenomenon, did this at the VMAs. She owned the VMAs with her performance. All of this. She's nominated for Emmys for Best Directing. She's an Emmy-nominated director. This is too big to fail at this point. This feels like miseducation territory. This feels like Speaker Box, Love Below territory, where even if they're not usually into the genre or this style, they can't not.
I want to see the competition first on that one. It's because I think I think if she's up against Adele, there's going to be vote splitting there. There's a very big it's not certain, but there could be room for something else to come in. And you want to talk about someone that's overdue in Album of the Year, Radiohead. They are very overdue in Album of the Year. And they've been at this longer, and the Grammys tend to like their veterans, and Radiohead checks all of those boxes.
Radiohead would basically be the next Beck. I mean, it fits the scenario basically the exact same way. Radiohead is still edgy in a certain sense, but they've become establishment in a way that Beck was once kind of an outsider and has now become more establishment. As the voting body has aged along with him, he's sort of moved into the field of elder statesman, even though he's only like in his 40s. It's the same thing with Radiohead. I do think that's a possibility, but and to a degree.
And also, if there's another R&B or rap act, that's a danger to Beyonce as well. If Frank Ocean gets in for Album of the Year, that's very dangerous territory, and it's just the way that the Grammys break down, and how they view things. I know we've gotten a bit off course, but yeah, this is all still related to Beyonce, and there's usually a correlation sometimes between Video of the Year winners and the Grammys. So I think that I want to see who she's up against, because that'll give us a better picture.
I do think, and I think if Grammys have an alibi, like, we didn't give it to Beyonce, but we gave it to Beck, which was, he'd never won Album of the Year before. He was a veteran who, beloved by critics. No one could really blame them for that in a sense. This year it's even more with a Radiohead.
And it's also it was a fantastic album.
And David Bowie, which we can segue back into the VMAs after this. David Bowie It would be a posthumous award. He's never won Album of the Year either. Under-rewarded by the Grammys overall.
He's only won. He had only won one Grammy, and that was for a long-form music video, actually, for Blue Jean.
Yeah. So again, I'd like to see Kanye West try to get up on stage and protest a posthumous win by David Bowie. But I really do, at this stage of the game, I mean, the Grammys are still several months from now, but the eligibility year only has about one more month left. So, we've seen just about everything that could compete, with maybe a couple of exceptions coming up. So, but at this stage of the game, it feels like Beyonce is too big to fail. But speaking of David Bowie, Best Art Direction. Yes. Our Gold Derby odds were predicting. I can't remember if we had Beyonce or Adele out front. I think we had Adele out front. And I watched these videos to prepare for our previous Love Fest where we talked about the main categories and the professional categories. And I watched these videos and I'm going like, Bowie, that video has some like fantastic sets, fantastic scenic design. I'm gonna go with Bowie, and I'm so glad I did. Yeah, I could have just as easily been wrong because with that Beyonce suite, they could have given that to hold up. So what did you think about how right I was?
I guess you were right about that. I can't even remember what I picked.
I think you said Adele.
I probably did. And I mean, it's like with these, it is sometimes a crapshoot. But like when you said when you watched all the videos, and I think I said like there was it was practically it felt like it was begging for it. It was definitely something that was out there, and I should have registered it better.
With the professional categories overall, I was kind of hit and miss, which is actually par for the course. I do this every year. I watch the nominees to get a sense because they're the only nominees that aren't fan voted. So I don't really feel comfortable making a solid prediction unless I've seen the nominees. So I think I was half up, half down. I got the Beyonce editing, Beyonce choreography. Oh no, a little better than half. Beyonce editing, Beyonce choreography, Coldplay visual effects, and Bowie art direction. I only missed the other two Beyonce victories. How did you do?
I don't know. I haven't seen the results on the website yet. I know I got I'm pretty sure I probably did abysmally. I know I got the visual effects one because I know I remember clearly after seeing that video saying, yeah, this one's gonna win that. I probably did not do well on that at all. So I'm guessing the only one I think I put formation for choreography. So I think that was it.
Let's talk about the show itself, which went without a host. I think I joked in our previous Slugfest that Miley Cyrus's hosting last year completely soured MTV on the very concept of host and hosting. The very profession of hosting. It's like, let's retire that. Although it did sort of have some correspondence here and there. You had Key and Peele doing a parody of social media stars who were, throwing shade on a lot of the nominees and the winners and the performers, which I thought was good. I thought a lot of their material was good. A lot of it felt like I had a friend who was watching who isn't familiar with Key and Peele, and she just thought she was out of touch. She's like, who are these social media stars? And I was wondering, like, how many people in the MTV audience are going to be looking at Key and Peele the same way. What did you think of their performances, or the whole panel of little hosts, DJ Khaled and a couple of other people?
It just felt like so trying to force everything that's youth culture down my throat, and I have a feeling that a lot of people that they were targeting were probably like, "There's a limit," So, some of their lines were really great, but I would have rather had one person at least try to guide the evening. There's nothing to justify the existence of a host rather than something that's completely out of left field that just derails everything. And I'm not saying necessarily this was definitely some minor track work. And if you're in the DC area, you can definitely sympathize with that. So yeah, it was hit and miss for me. The rest other than Key and Peele were total misses for me. What's her name? Who was backstage?
I'm calling up
Nicole Byer.
Let's go with that. I'll correct you.
I mean, like, I get that it was like this incredible thrill for her. It's just like, this isn't translating that well on television.
You're right. It was Nicole Byer.
Okay, and Jay Farrow that was just a bad use of his talent.
Yeah, he did a couple of things, and he did a Jay-Z impression online from the bathroom. That really felt like throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. I think you're right about the whole attempt at youth culture thing, because I remember when I was once a youth, and I was once in that sweet spot, that demographic, the teenage years, 13 to 20 to 25, somewhere in that range. And I liked a lot of what was on MTV, but the VMAs, even when I was in the demographic, only had about a 30% hit rate with me. Like, the things that MTV thought I was into, I wasn't always that into, because I was a teenager who had my own interests. And I think we do tend to, from this side of 30, look at youth culture as if youth culture is a thing and not a myriad of cultures and interests and ideas. And I think I'm going to stop looking at these kinds of MTV events as defining youth culture, because I think that's what they're trying to do, and I think that's giving them a little bit too much credit. I think I have more faith in the youth of America, which is not to say that the youth of America must have hated all of this, but they probably found a lot of it as tiresome as any 30, 40, or 50-year-old would have. Because
it's weird. Well, it's weird what you're saying about youth. What we're saying about youth culture, because usually, I guess, for the past 20 years, everything that is youth culture has basically been dictated by MTV.
Yeah. Or at least the image of what adults think youth culture is. I think when I was a teenager, I don't think
the cycle continues.
I don't think as many of my friends or peers when I was a teenager and in my early 20s were as into MTV as MTV wanted us all to be. So I do think it's much more of a perception of us people who are viewing youth culture, and we are only really seeing it through the lens of MTV, as if that's defining what it is, which I don't think it is. But let's go over some of their attempts to capitalize on the youths.
And I also got to say, so speaking of the ceremony, what did you think about Rihanna performing 4 times during the ceremony?
I didn't mind it in theory, because she won the Video Vanguard Award. So I don't mind them giving her a larger showcase, as a performer. I don't think she needed 4. I think maybe 2 medleys would have done the trick, because it did seem a little bit. And the show ran long too. She didn't accept Video Vanguard until the end of the night. On my cable, it was scheduled from 9 to 11:45, and she wasn't even done with that last performance, and until past that. So she didn't. She didn't need to perform that many times, although I didn't mind it, because honestly, I would have gladly taken a 5th and 6th Rihanna performance over a couple of the other performances that we got in there. Because, they were, I'm not going to say they were scraping the bottom of the barrel, but you could see the bottom of the barrel. It was a couple in particular, but what did you personally think of Rihanna performances and
some of the performances were really good. The final one really got my attention, because most of the time during the performances, I'm also checking stuff online and doing stuff. That 4th performance really got my attention, and that was fantastic. The only thing is that it almost made it feel like they were having her sing for her supper, so to speak. It's like, you can't have this until you satisfy our demands. like the Video Vanguard Award is the cheese at the end of the maze for her.
Yeah, they had a PA or something off stage whenever she's performing with a gun pointed at the head of her Golden Mood Men, going like, "Sing only girl in the world. Sing only girl in the world now."
And that's the other thing that was weird about it was that they did not in the medley of all the songs she performed, she did not perform the one of the two songs that won her Video of the Year. Did not perform Umbrella.
I didn't realize that until just now. You started mentioning it's like, yeah, she didn't, and that was her huge star making, because she'd done a couple of things before that, but that made her a star. Period.
That made her Rihanna.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think it was her first Grammy too. She won Rap Song maybe, and yeah, so it is a little unusual that her signature breakthrough song, she literally performed, or at least what it felt like, her entire discography.
Pretty much.
On the Wikipedia page for the main show. 4 songs in her first performance, 3 songs in her second performance, that's 7, then another 3, that's 10, then another 3, that's 13. 13 songs, and they couldn't fit her star-making Umbrella, which is really kind of unusual.
That really is unusual. It was perplexing by the end of the evening.
Now, as for some of these other performances, I'd like us to work our way up. So I'd like to start, like Drake, start from the bottom, and then we'll be here. For me, and I feel bad, it's not entirely Britney's fault. But that Britney, first of all, they made Britney follow Beyonce's performance, which we will get to. But I mean, seriously, this Beyonce epic, and then it's like, we'll be right back with Britney Spears was trying to make a moment thing because she hadn't been back to the VMAs in a while.
Well, and that was the thing. It's publicizing this when the last time she was there, it was a shit show. And now she seems to have things, pretty well put together. The year after that, I think, was probably the bigger story. The year after that insanely bad performance of Give Me More, when she found redemption and won 3 VMAs, including Video of the Year. I think it just was like, why are you celebrating this? This is memorial. This is like celebrating and bathing in something that she probably would rather forget. And especially now because her kids are like 8 or 9 years old, I guess now. They're just like, they're probably like, Mommy, why are they making such a big deal about this? Well, you see, Mommy was kind of fucked up back then.
And I'm rooting for her so much because she got so heavily scrutinized and demonized and all that sort of stuff. I'm kind of hoping she brought on G-Eazy to deflect some of the hatred off of her, because she does tend to get, I think, disproportionate amounts of it. And now,
is it G-Eazy or is it G-Z or is it Get Easy? I don't know.
I think it's G-Eazy, but he spells it with a Z, which is the laziest, cool rapper thing to do. I'm like, oh my God, that might have been cool in 1993, but and Eazy-E did it better anyway. So, so that was just and they kept him in shadow, like he was sort of shadow behind the curtain.
That's right, yeah.
And so then you sort of think, okay, when they raise the curtain, it's gonna be a reveal. It's gonna be someone, and then this guy comes up and he goes like, "That's not Federline, is it?" Because I wasn't sure if they were gonna do a reunion with her and Federline that was gonna make headlines. But no, it was G-Eazy who. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was my reaction. I was like, huh, okay, that happened.
The worst thing I could say about Britney herself is that it was kind of a lackluster performance to follow Beyonce. I do think Britney needs to kind of try and get out of this MTV sphere, because clearly, as we've talked, it hasn't been good for her, healthy for her even, in the past. And I think she's doing residency in Las Vegas. And I actually think what she should do, and I think maybe she's partially kind of easing into that kind of realm, she should follow Robin's career footsteps. That kind of, be the, the gay dance hall goddess of and I think Britney can pull that off. She has the built-in fan base for that.
Yeah, that's very true. I get mocked religiously for mocking her, so yeah.
So she has the fan base. She's done a lot of solid dance music in the past, songs like Toxic. You know, she could really parlay that into a really strong career as kind of being this beloved dance artist on sort of like, you know, get herself, you know, hook herself up with some really great, interesting producers like Madonna did at, you know, certain points with like William
Didn't
Morgan.
Kylie Minogue also do that?
Yeah, kind of. So yeah, just follow. She would fit right into that niche. I think it would be so great for her.
Yeah, it's just, and let's just face it, that like ever since her performance at the 2000 VMAs, which of course is the one where she stripped while performing Satisfaction, ever since then, it's always been trying to just milk everything, milk every bit of, you know, anticipation and potential shock value that her can get them. You know, and they're still trying to do it, you know, 15 years later.
Yeah, I agree. I think she needs to sort of evolve in a way. I was reading a really incisive tweet from a feminist that I follow on Twitter named Annie Mock. And she was talking about, like, why do female artists seem to get stuck at the sex bomb phase of their careers? It's like, you know, it's like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, for instance, have been around for the same amount of time, but Justin Timberlake has really grown and evolved and changed as an artist over the course of time. He's not still doing the NSYNC thing, but Britney still seems to be kind of marketed and promoted in that kind of sex kittenish way that, you know, it's not that she's too old for it per se, you know, but it's that, you know, there should be, she should be able to be more. There should be more there that she can explore creatively and more for her to pursue, which I sort of hope that she.
Well, she's not. The problem with that, and I know we're getting off on this whole other tangent, but who cares? There's only the devout people watching this. Hi, Mom. Is that, you know, Britney has never marketed herself and has never appeared as an artist. You know, she's a performer, but it's not like Timberlake really took that on when he started taking on more creative control of the music and started going into all these other, you know, areas and sticking his fingers in all these other areas of the music. And Britney just hasn't been like that, you know. Christina Aguilera, you would say also, you know, she may have been faltering in the past couple of years, but she's definitely moved beyond just being, you know, a sexy woman. And we saw that with Stripped, and especially the song Beautiful, that took it to a whole new level.
So segueing us back into the VMAs, and we'll find another tangent. You know, no reason not to. Why not?
Yeah.
I don't want to dwell on it for too long, but the other performance that I thought really just didn't work was the Chainsmokers and Halsey.
It was forgettable to me.
It was forgettable, and the male vocalist, I can't remember his name, the member of Chainsmokers, that duo, the vocal wasn't great. Halsey sounded good, but sounded not great together with that other guy, and it just didn't seem like a good mix of voices. And then they tried, it felt so forced, them trying to be provocative in the middle of the song, them mushing their faces together like they're having an intimate moment. And it's like, no, it's not happening. Stop trying to make this happen. It's not happening.
I will pay you to stop.
Which, hey, maybe they made a lot of money off of that. But let's see, with these other performances, you had Nick Jonas in.
That was bizarre. That was just so bizarre. I had no idea what to make of that. You know, it's, you know, I thought Drake was the waiter at one point. He might have actually been the waiter at one point. I just, like, I had no idea what to make of that. I was just like, what is this?
Yeah, that was just kind of randomness to me. It's just like, oh, like, let's do something different. Quick, get that diner. Let's do something in there. Let's throw some dancers and extras in there. And then fit Nick Jonas with those green leather sweatpants, which is going to start a whole new fad, I'm sure.
I'm not complaining about it on him, but I will find it very objectionable on anyone else.
Then you have Ariana Grande and Nicki Minaj. They reunited for Side to Side, which, to say nothing else, they have good taste in background dancers.
I was thinking, the only thing I thought to myself after that performance was, I gotta hit the gym again.
Yeah, that was.
Of course, I did not say again because obviously I haven't been to a gym since it was required in 5th grade.
Yeah, so that was basically Physical. Olivia Newton-John's Physical.
Oh my god, I can't believe I never put that together. Oh my god, that's so right. That's exactly what that was.
But yeah, let's skip ahead to Beyonce. You know, she started performing, and I thought, okay, she's gonna do a couple of songs, and then she does another song, and then she does another song, and I'm just like sitting like, she's gonna do the whole album, isn't she? No one's gonna stop her. She could do the whole album right now, and
she could improv a new song on the spot, and no one would stop her.
and oh, it was so, you know, it was so good and so angry. I'm so glad she got to "Don't Hurt Yourself" towards the, you know, the near the end of the medley right before Formation. Because she was doing the angry stuff. She was doing Hold Up and hitting the camera with the baseball bat. But the song on that album that really knocked me out was the, you know, the pissed off, you know, who the F you think I is song, Don't Hurt Yourself. And I'm like thinking, she's got to do Don't Hurt Yourself. Please do Don't Hurt Yourself. And she brought it out. So I was very, very happy with that. And then, of course, Formation, which I'm pitching as the new national anthem. Let's that was good. That was, and my Twitter was full of everyone else go home. It's over. Like, you know, she has shown us how to perform, and now we just must simply take notes and learn, and we don't need to do it. This is it. We're good. Everyone, yeah. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Yeah, just you see Jenna Maroney just going, shut it down. Shut it down.
That's my favorite.
It's like, yeah, and I actually thought it was really good. I just loved it even more because it showed a new way to piss off Rudy Giuliani, and that's always a plus in my book.
Which way in that was that specifically? I imagine Rudy Giuliani
he was pissed at the opening bit. He was pissed at the opening bit. He was on Fox and Friends this morning talking about how he hated that opening bit where while she's singing, the mothers were standing, the backup dancers as mothers were sitting there, and then they one by one they each fell to a gunshot. You know, it was just anything pisses that man off anymore. You know, it's ridiculous. But yeah, he was complaining about it on Fox and Friends this morning.
That's very telling, and in a sad way, that of all that entire performance, you know, the anger, the profanity, the hitting, you know, private property with baseball bats. What bothered him was having a problem with innocent people getting shot.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rudy. Glad you're not my man anymore.
Although no, he's saying he helped out your neighborhoods or whatever. I don't know, but that's what he led to his defense of his reign as mayor.
Well, I didn't hear. I'm skeptical that he said any of that because I didn't hear 9/11 in that sentence. But yeah, that was. I think we've gone through most of the show. What did you think of the show as a whole? You know, did you come away feeling like train wreck, as a couple of people in my Facebook feed were saying?
and our good friend Marcus also said. I don't know if I would call it. It's basically what I now have come to expect from the VMAs. It was pretty on par with what I would expect. It had some really good moments, which is more than I could have asked for, which is more than I probably expected for a lot of it. You know, they're just so hit or miss slightly, and usually more on the miss side. You know, because it's not about you know it's an award show, but it's even worse disguised than the Grammys in terms of being basically just like an extended concert.
Yeah, I actually want to loop back for a second there before talking about the show as a whole, because I forgot to talk about Kanye. Kanye never forgets to talk about Kanye, but I forgot to talk about Kanye. He got on stage, and there was a moment where he said, "I'm going to premiere my new video for you, but first I'm going to talk." and I was just like, get me a drink, someone. Just I need this is here a while. And we were not as long as his Video Vanguard acceptance speech last year. But this case, he was talking about how people are trying to take his self-esteem, and he wants to be the next Bill Gates and Walt Disney. So, okay.
He also put Henry Ford in there, so take that with the grain of salt.
Which, I mean, those are perfectly fine aspirations for anyone to have.
That's the whole anti-Semitism thing with Henry Ford, but you know.
Yeah, I didn't know that, so that is bad. But it's like with Kanye West, it never feels like he's aspiring to. It feels like he's just announcing, yes, I am as great as. I mean, he's compared himself to Jesus. I mean, there's not really much anywhere else you can really go from there. And so more of the same, I guess. I mean, I really, you know, after last year, I almost expected him to tone it down a notch just for a change of pace. But it's like, no, it's more Kanye being Kanye. And he makes some great music, but I just can't hear the music through all the stuff that is Kanye.
It seemed like he was having much more fun with it this year. Like, you know, he was talking about something. He was talking about like his exes, and he said, "I see you there, Amber." And it's like he was having a bit more. He was a bit more conscious of everything, and was of like, you know, like sometimes like the ridiculousness that he is capable of. And you know, I still don't know what to make of half the stuff that he says anymore. All I'm just like, is just drop another album because I'll buy it.
Which is the thing. I mean, I don't think anyone who listens to his music would protest his talent and his influence and his significance in the music industry. But when he proclaims it himself so loudly, it just becomes a little bit like, why does he need anyone else to applaud him? He can't hear us over his own applause.
Well, I was actually listening to a podcast about something. They were talking about Kanye West, and they were talking about how you know, this has always been a trademark of rap music. You know, that whole braggadocio thing. You know, and he just takes it to the furthest that we have ever seen it. You know, he basically drives off the cliff every time.
Yeah, and what's so interesting is the artist he spends so much time on stage crashing other people's speeches to defend, Beyonce. She also has the braggadocio, but I don't know, it feels like, not that she's earned it more than he has, because he also makes great music, but she's doing it in a way that doesn't feel so self-congratulatory. Like, I mean, she says things like, I slay, and you know, I woke up like this, and it just seems like, you know, I could have another you in a minute. You know, when she carries these things off, because I don't know what it is about her that feels, when she puts, you know, when she puts herself out there in a way that says that I am great, I am all that, it's in a way that feels a little bit less strident than Kanye does.
Fair enough on that one. What did you think of the video, though? I had no idea what to make of that video. I stopped paying attention like a quarter of the way through, because I'm like, I do not know what is happening, and yeah, I'm not the target audience for this.
I don't know that there is a target audience for that. It was. I mean, it was very sexy, obviously, but you know, and for, I presumed straight men and possibly
sheep aficionados.
Or cat. I think she was a cat, actually.
But at the end with the sheep, it was.
Oh, there was also a sheep. I missed the sheep because she was a cat, so my attention was all on the catness. I'm like, what is that? Has she always been a cat?
But it just was so haunting, because today, of course, we lost the great Gene Wilder today, and one of his lesser regarded performances was in the Woody Allen movie Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Sex, and he plays a psychiatrist who's one of his patients falls in love with a sheep, and so he spends some time around the sheep to try to understand it, and it's just a ridiculous skit, but it's wonderful because of Gene Wilder. And that's all I was thinking of when I saw the end of that video was, oh man, Gene Wilder.
Yeah, I think, you know, whenever I see Kanye, and actually now I think I know what it is with Beyonce. I think Beyonce, you know, says things, she says I'll slay with her music. And she will put that all into her music. She never gets on stage and goes like, I'm exactly like Walt Disney and Henry Ford. Like she doesn't.
she's very humble on stage.
She's humble and gracious, but when she's making her music, she's as badass as she wants to be, which is significantly so, and she pulls it off. So that's what I think I wish Kanye would do more, is let his considerably good music do the talking and just shut up a little. And let the videos shut up a little too, just a little. Like, I mean, like this video, it felt a little like Famous to me in that it's trying to get a reaction out of me without really earning it in any way. While again, compared to Beyonce, Formation was confrontational, but it felt like it had a purpose. And it felt like it's trying to communicate something, and this one is just trying to get a reaction. And I feel like he's trolling us a lot half the time.
No argument on that front.
So any final thoughts about the VMAs and hopes for next year, maybe?
I don't know about next year because I don't know what's going to be eligible. It's again, I can't wait to see what MTV tells me was the best. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, with that, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next year for the VMAs, certainly. But hopefully, Charlie and I will reconvene during the fall. We can talk some about the Grammys.
Yeah.